conduct for years. So it was an honor, complete honor. But just to be in the room with a legend and have him kind of shape a performance, a new performance of Tosca, it was just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think many of our audiences know, of course, Zubin's legendary Turandot recording or the La Fanciulla del West. So I think particularly, of course, there's a Tosca with Leontine Price. So I think there's also something very special with Puccini and Zubin. And I also learned through preparing for this interview that Tosca was the first opera that Zubin ever conducted in 1960.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Wow.
So really, I think it's very meaningful to him as well. So can you kind of tell us more about what the performances were like? How was the Israel Philharmonic and compared to kind of working with an opera company?
Well, the Israel Philharmonic is incredible. I mean, they're all spectacular musicians. They really, I mean, they were really prideful in making sure that it was right, not only for Zubin, but for everyone, for the soloists, for the audience, for everybody. I mean, it was such a special experience for everyone. I mean, having Zubin return to the Philharmonic after having been gone, and them playing with him for the first time again, and it was very exciting. And you could tell that they just, they take so much pride in their work and in the playing of this incredible score. I stand obviously like very far forward, so I'm near the concertmaster a lot. And the concertmaster, the second chair, the first chair cello, it was like a tight-knit little team right up there. And it was really fun to stand up there and kind of be in that action, because everyone just wanted it to be spectacular and special and right and well put together, because Zubin demands that. He wants it to be not only an exciting dramatic performance, but he wants it to be a musically fulfilling performance as well. And you could tell that the score was very important to him. You could tell that he had things that he likes to bring out in the score that maybe I hadn't even thought of before. And I had written an Instagram post kind of during the process, and it really was true. I had never had someone, a conductor, build Act 2 of Tosca like Maestro Meta built Act 2 of Tosca. It was kind of amazing because it was completely relentless, and it just kept building and building and building and building and building and building until Visidarte, when you finally get a little bit of rest. And to be perfectly honest with you, that's exactly dramatically as it should be. It should continue to build and build and build until it bursts and Tosca can't take it anymore and has to sing Visidarte, because she truly doesn't understand why this experience with Scarpia is going so badly, So I had never had someone build it musically the way that he built it, which in turn made it incredibly intense dramatically.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where by Visidarte, I had, my makeup was already running. I was already crying because it just was so, you could feel it as the person singing Tosca, you could feel, oh my God, I'm not getting out of this. This is, we're going to keep going just like this musically, but also dramatically. It was so intense. And the orchestra was right along with him the whole way. I mean, it was a really special experience to feel. I mean, after having sung Tosca many times, to feel it a very different way was absolutely amazing and mind-blowing, really.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think I would say Tosca is one of my favorite operas. And for any viewers that don't know it, they must listen to it right now.
Yes.
Act 2, for example, features a torture scene. an attempted rape, a murder, and of course the whole opera ends with a suicide finale. So there's really nothing more you can ask for when you go to an
No,
opera and see this
it's the
riveting
best
work.
opera ever. It's the most well-built opera you can imagine.
I
It's
agree.
like,
I think that,
it's like Game of Thrones on the stage for you. It's so
and
great.
of course for the soprano, Visi Darte is your moment. It's really the one singular aria that you have. Like when you mentioned the building, and I can even feel it when you're describing, I can feel it thinking about all those great moments. What does it feel like when everything does come to a stop and there you are on stage and you are about to sing what pretty much one of the most famous arias in the whole repertoire?
You know, it's really funny, especially the momentum that Maestro Meta built up to Visidarte. It literally does feel like you are begging for it to stop. Like it feels like you just want some sort of mercy, right? And that is what Tosca is asking for in Visidarte. I mean, this is a moment where a woman who a moment where she says to him, I have done all of these things. I would never hurt a living soul. I have lived for the gift that you gave me. I have given my jewelry. I have laid flowers at the altar. I have done all of these things, right? As it says in the Bible that I am supposed to do. And then this is the way you repay me. This is the way you torture me, a devoted soul of your church and beliefs. And it really is a moment where she questions her faith and her strength and her person. And when Act 2 is built to that moment, it literally, like when Maestro Meta built it to Visidarte, I literally had to turn upstage and go before starting, because my heart was racing. My emotions were racing. I was sweating. But it's literally like that. It's the moment where you can actually stop and have this deep kind of meaningful conversation with God as Tosca. And in that moment on stage, that's what it became. It became a complete, something that is completely separate in the grand scheme of, in the big picture of the opera as a whole.
Yeah.
And that was kind of amazing to feel. Really amazing to feel. And I didn't feel it until the dress rehearsal. And then I was like, oh, I better calm down. This is getting a little high up here, you know. But it really, and every night that I sang Visite with Maestro Meta, I cried, because it is in reaction to everything that came before it, you know, to this really intense buildup and just this somehow release of emotion in that, you know, it's short 3-minute aria that just becomes so cathartic for her that, you know, I just every time.
Do you take some certain, like what kind of preparations do you take when you're about, you know, tonight you're singing Tosca? How do you prepare both your voice, your spirit to take on a role like this? And I mean, obviously these emotions that you feel on stage, they're so true. You're crying. I mean, like what kind of prep do you do, especially when you're on the road, to keep in good shape and give your best performances?
Yeah, it's funny because people ask that a lot. And I think they're always surprised to hear that the preparation of a performance doesn't start when you arrive at the theater. It starts the night before. It starts the day before, really, because you have to make sure you eat well. You have to make sure that you hydrate like crazy the day before and the day of. And you have to make sure that your body is ready to take on not only the emotion, but the stamina and the cardiovascular strength and the vocal strength that you need to sing that role, because it is huge. It is a huge, in every way, Tosca is huge. It's big singing, it's big orchestration, it's big emotion. And while it is perfectly written, it is not ever easy. I mean, Puccini built the role incredibly well. It's in my opinion, of all the Puccini that I've sung, it's the best one. It's played. So it's easy to get you warm up, then you get Te Deum and an intermission to rest. Then you come out for Act 2 and it's boom, 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 let's go, let's go, let's go. But Act 1 has set you up for that. And then Act 3 is actually the highest in the tessitura. So where it sits is the highest. Scientifically, what happens to the vocal folds when you sing, they get swollen. And so they are swollen, they tend to move you a little bit higher in pitch. Even when you speak, your voice gets a little higher in pitch. So the fact that Act 3 is the highest is incredible, because you're totally warmed up for it. You're totally ready for it. Your vocal folds are prepared for it. You're prepared for it. And it's smooth sailing. I will tell you, I've tried to do in rehearsal, I've tried to go back and do something in Act 2 after having 3, and it's impossible. It's completely impossible. He wrote it the best way. So anyway, so preparation wise, hydration and all that stuff starts the day before. A really good next night's sleep, 9 to 10 hours for me is perfect. I love a 10-hour sleep. It's so good for the vocal folds. Again, lots of hydration. I drink so much water. It's ridiculous. I warm up my body and my breathing. So I always do about 30 minutes of cardio, not heavy cardio, light cardio, whether it's a walk, some sort of aerobic exercise or video. I love to warm up my back because I love to use my lat muscles when I sing. So I like to do things with tension bands to really get my back freed up and ready. I love to roll my back out with like a foam roller so that everything feels free and ready to go. I like my breathing to feel prepared. I like to feel like my body is prepared for an aerobic workout. It will be, because a role is a marathon. It is a marathon. And if you wear your Fitbit when you sing, you can see that you go into time. I mean, even in a voice lesson, I'm up at like 104, 106, 110, depending on what I'm singing. So a lot of cardio preparation for me, a lot of body preparation. Then I like to steam, love to steam everything. And then I warm up the voice, and I warm up the voice slowly. So usually when I take my steam, I do a short warm up in the shower, 10 minutes maybe, with just some like straw phonation or lip buzzing, light E vowels, oo vowels, thing like that. Then when I get to the theater, then I do my full blown 20-ish minute, half hour, depending on the day, warm up. And I finish that warm up with an aria of choice at the moment that just makes me feel grounded and open and full and supported. And usually that's Verdi for me. So usually I warm up for Tosca with like Trovatore or something. Or actually, I think for this round, I was warming up with Don Carlo with Tu che le vanità. So it's nice to sort of feel that like heft and strength and thickness and just, that your body's fully ready to go. And then we go. And, it's a lot of focus. It's a lot of thought for the emotion and what you're saying. And what you can give. And there are definitely moments where you stop yourself and you're like, okay, you have to calm down now. You're going too far. You have high seas coming. Calm down, you know. So there's a lot of preparation that goes in for sure.
How was your experience in general in Israel? Like, my understanding is also that you procured a beautiful gown from an Israeli designer. Can you maybe speak about more about
Yes,
your
I
experience
did.
in the country?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, let's talk about the gown, because Shea Peretz of Pistache in Tel Aviv made the most Tosca-esque gown that he could possibly make. Absolutely stunning, very sleek, classy black gown with this beautiful silver embellishment and these very gorgeous, what I think he called them cathedral sleeves. Just this beautiful fabric and all beaded down this. Oh, it was absolutely stunning. And it was really important to me to actually wear a gown from a local designer because I felt like it was such a special performance for the people in Tel Aviv, you know, having Zubin come back and having him with the Philharmonic again and experiencing Tosca at the Philharmonic, not an orchestral work like an opera in concert. And you know, the singers were incredible. And so, you know, they got this world-class cast to do this return of Zubin Mehta. And so I really felt like it was a really great place to showcase more of the culture of Israel and Tel Aviv. And this dress was absolutely stunning and so perfect for Act Two. It was so classy. It looked like she had just come from singing a concert for the Queen. 100%. It looked like that. So I just loved that. But my experience in Israel was so interesting and fun to me because there's so many things that I experienced for the first time that I knew nothing about. Shabbat was completely new to me. I had no idea what Shabbat was, what the rules were. Kosher, very new to me, very new. The fact that at breakfast there was no meat, only the dairy part of the kitchen, I was like, wait, what's happening? But you understand, you know, I wanted to learn because that is so different from, you know, this American life that I live.
Right.
I want to learn about that. That's the fun part of getting to go to these other countries and sing opera. You get to learn about all these different cultures and all of the things that are important to the people in those countries. And I was so blown away by Shabbat. I really was. And I never experienced, like, in the hotel, the elevator stopped at every floor because you can't push the buttons. And I had no idea. I didn't know. I was like, where's the elevator? What's happening? So I felt like every day I was learning something new. And I have to tell you, I mean, that's so fun. So much fun to learn something new every day. So that was really interesting to me. And I was also really surprised by Tel Aviv itself. It's so modern. It's so modern and chic and cool. And so, I mean, so accepting of the LGBTQ community. And I mean, just so many different types of people out and about, just feeling so free to express themselves and be themselves. And it was just so fun to watch, you know, just to sit in a restaurant, have a coffee, eat a salad, and watch the people walking by just living their best lives. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really fantastic.
It's an amazing.
We did have the opportunity to go to, yeah, it is. It's the city is incredible. It's incredible. And we did have the opportunity to go to Jerusalem as well. And that was a very different experience for me. I had no idea. I had no idea. But also, you know, it educates your characters to see things like that. Because as I said, Tosca is a very devout Catholic, and I was not raised Catholic. So, I've been to in Rome, I've been to the Tosca Church, I've been to the Castel Sant'Angelo, I've been to see those things, but going to Jerusalem and seeing the church, I mean, I can inform Tosca even more by watching the people, in this church who were praying and getting the holy water and going in. And I mean, it was really spectacular. It was a spectacular experience, just all around. It was,
I love hearing
it was
that.
incredible.
That's amazing. I think that we actually share something else in common, that we're both from Northeast Ohio.
Yes. Where are you from?
I'm from like Chagrin Falls, the east side.
Oh my gosh. We used to have to battle Chagrin Falls in show choir competition all the time. Seriously, I went to school in Vermilion.
Oh,
so
wow.
We were like,
so
show choir
no, that's a surprise. We didn't know that was going to happen. My question is though, so how do you find your voice kind of in a metaphorical way from growing up in, a modest Midwest city to, now performing some of the greatest operas all over the world? I mean, I know you spent significant time in Italy. The Italian rep seems to be kind of your space. Can you kind of tell us about your journey and finding your voice and your, how you ended up where you are?
Yeah, totally. It's a strange journey, and funny because it just seemed to come out of nowhere. Like you said, I did grow up in the Midwest. My brother and I were sporty all the way. My brother was an excellent football player. I was a really good softball player. But when I was younger, my mom took me to dance, very young. I would say 6, probably, very young. And I even remember my first recital. We wore these little green tutus and we did a song called Pretty Baby. And we had like our Cabbage Patch Kids in like a little plastic shopping cart. And we were like pushing our Cabbage Patch Kids around the stage. Never forget it as long as I live. I was 6, but I'll never forget that. And that the dance background sort of introduced me to a different world and a different type of music and a different culture, really. And so as I got a little bit older, I was very good at ballet. And I started taking classes at the Cleveland Ballet and, was really, I had an incredible teacher who at the end of every class it was kind of like an improv. So, she called it the cool down, but she would put on a record and she would sort of improv and we would follow her. And it definitely like elongated your lines and stretched you out. But she always picked these really, to me at the time, sad songs. And they were all at the time I didn't know, but they were all in a minor key. And she always felt so emotionally attached to them. And I had no idea what they were. She would just put them on the record player, drop the needle and start dancing. And I came to find out later that they were the Chopin nocturnes.
Oh, lovely.
And so at that time, I was 10, right? I had no idea. And so I was really introduced to piano music through this part of the dance class, right? And after I grew, when I was 15, I stopped dancing because my father is like 6'6", my brother is like 6'5", I'm 5'10", very tall, right? We're very tall Ohio people. And so I just got too big to do ballet. I just wasn't the body type or the height or any of that stuff. So I stopped doing ballet, but I wanted to keep the dance background, right? And I always sang. I was constantly singing. I sang in the shower. I would take 45-minute long showers and sing the entire Whitney Houston album. Like my parents were so annoyed with me all the time because I would like just completely drain the water heater singing Whitney Houston. So I always sang. So in high school, I was introduced to something called show choir. And I didn't know what that was, but in my freshman year of high school, I auditioned and came to find out, oh, you can sing and dance at the same time, right? This was news to me. I had no idea. Like I said, we're very sporty people. Like we watched Ohio State football games every Saturday, and we watched NFL and we still watch NFL every Sunday. Like, this was my family. This wasn't, didn't grow up with a family that went to the theater, So finding show choir was sort of like the spark. And then finding musical theater was really what led me into the realm of performing. And I had no idea what it was that, I mean, you could make money doing it. I had no idea. It just seemed really fun. And so as a freshman, I did my first musical, which was Godspell. And I had a small role, but I did a lot of chorus in it and whatever, and just fell in love with it. And I thought that I would go to school for musical theater. That's what I mean. I thought dancing and singing, that was going to be it for me. And my mother and father got divorced when I was 16, I guess. And sorry, a little, probably 14. And my mother got remarried when I was 16. So it would have been a junior in high school. And when she got remarried, we moved to a different city, and we moved to Vermilion. And I was not supposed to go to the high school that I went to. I was supposed to go to a different high school because of where our house was. But my mother had done her research and basically petitioned the school to allow me to go to Vermilion High School and not the other high school that I was supposed to go to, because the other high school didn't have show choir, theater, all those, they didn't have it. And she knew that I had to continue to do it. And it was important to me and it was special. So I ended up being allowed to go to this other high school. I had to audition. I had to sing for the, choir director and the theater director and all those people. And they did take me in, and the choir director was very important to me in the path of my life. I did musicals in high school, in junior and senior year at that high school. But he was the one who said, I think we need to send you for voice lessons. And, of course, as a teenager, you're like, I don't need voice lessons. I can sing, but he knew something that I didn't know. And he sent me to voice lessons, and we lived actually quite close to Oberlin Conservatory. And so he called Oberlin Conservatory and he asked if someone could hear me, and they did. And I went to Oberlin Conservatory and I sang for the head of the voice department. And he put me with one of his students to take voice lessons. And that's when we found had a different voice than a musical theater voice. And it was slow going because I was very stubborn. I was like, no, I'm singing musical theater. But she introduced me to things like Handel's Messiah and Mozart C minor Mass and C major Mass and Mozart Requiem and things like that. And some opera. So Marriage of Figaro and, light things, La Boheme, of course. And when it came time to decide where I was going to go to college, she said, I think you should audition for conservatories. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be a chef. I don't want to go to conservatory. What do I want to do that for? And she convinced me and said, listen, if you want to be a chef, you can always go to culinary school. You can go to culinary school until you're 50. Like, you can always go to culinary school. You can't always go go to conservatory for your undergrad in music. And she convinced me, and I auditioned, and I ended up going to my alma mater, Baldwin Wallace University, which is in Berea, Ohio. And at Baldwin Wallace, thankfully, I had another incredible teacher that led me in the right direction and said to me, my darling, you do not have a musical theater voice. You have a very important opera voice, and we need to develop it, and we need to learn it, and we need to do this work because it's important. And he was right. And I tell him all the time that he was right. And I started my journey in opera. And I mean, I have just been very lucky that there were people along my path, teachers, mentors, who basically took me by the hand and said, no, listen, this is very important, and you need to go in this direction, and we're going to get there. And it really, I mean, that's how I never heard an opera, never seen one, never heard one, and went to school for opera. No, I mean, just no idea. So it was, it was one of those things like, as a teenager, you're like, I don't need that. But then you find out that it's your entire life, and you actually do need it, and need everything about it. And thankfully I had really good people that led me down, that's for sure.
That's amazing. I love that so much. Do you have like other dream roles? I mean, obviously you're doing some of the greatest repertoire. I mean, I think you're very lucky to have the voice you have and be able to sing Toscas and Leonoras and Adriana Lukaverts. Are there other roles that you kind of have your eye on that you want to tackle next?
Definitely. So the one that I've been dreaming about for a couple of years is Norma. I love Norma. I think it's incredible. It's so well written. It's so beautiful. And you get to sing with the big, meaty, dramatic voice and do coloratura. So amazing. But I also really love the big Verdi roles. Don Carlo is very high on my wish list. I think Lady Macbeth will come in the next couple of years, and I can't wait because just as a character, she is spectacular. I think Attila will come. I think Nabucco will come. I think those big things, I think those big Verdi roles are definitely going to be up there. I think Fanciulla, I think Suor Angelica, Turandot eventually, not yet, but eventually. And I have started to kind of play with some of the German repertoire as well. And I mean, Ariadne is incredibly special. She is absolutely, I mean, so well written, so beautiful, 2 really spectacular arias. So there's a lot kind of on my wish list, and it's always a matter of getting someone to give you something new. It's always tough to get that, but I'm very thankful that I have some good relationships with some really wonderful houses in the United States as well as overseas, and I hope that they will give me the opportunity to do some of these new things really soon, because it's in our business, it's really easy for someone to give me Tosca because I've done it a million times. I know it, right? There's no chance in that. Like, she knows it, she's done it, she probably did it 3 months ago. Yeah, okay, give it to her. Great.
Yeah.
It's hard for someone to go, okay, yeah, she's going to debut that here. That's because it's like, oh, it before and to be ready, but this with everybody, it's hard for all singers to get people to take a chance on the new role. And so it's always fun to see who's gonna like put the chips on the table and be like, okay, let's go, let's do it. So, but I hope soon that I'll get to do some of these bigger things, new things.
Yeah. We hope so too. I would love to see a Norma with you. So definitely all of our audiences will keep our eye on you. Just to kind of close out, can you kind of tell us and our viewers what you're up to right now and in the near future. I know that you have a pretty packed schedule. So tell us about what you're up to currently.
Yeah, I have a great rest of the season. So that's wonderful. I'm currently in Palm Beach, Florida, which not so bad. It's so beautiful here. And I'm doing a new role. I'm doing my role debut. So I'm so thrilled that Jim Barbado from Palm Beach Opera wanted to give me the opportunity to do something new. And so I'm doing Hannah Glavari in The Merry Widow, and I'm very excited about it. She's so fun. She's so me. And so that is running next weekend. Oh, she's so fabulous. She's just like, you can just imagine her with like a big fancy dress and a martini, can't you? I mean,
Totally.
Just feels like perfect. So that's running this next weekend, the 25th, 26th, 27th in Palm Beach at Palm Beach Opera. And then I will be doing the Beethoven Solemnis with Yannick Seguin and the Philadelphia Orchestra. And that will be both in Philadelphia and at Carnegie Hall. So we have 3 performances in Philadelphia with the orchestra there, and then we have 1 performance at Carnegie Hall in New York. So I think those are the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of April. So they're coming up very quickly. And the Philadelphia Orchestra and Chorus, I've sung Tosca with before, and they are spectacular. So I'm sure it will be an amazing experience. And as I understand, they are doing some sort of a light show type of thing, laser projections, with the Mrs. Solemnis. And so they're kind of making the hall, I think it's Verizon Hall, I think. They're making the hall into kind of a church, and they're projecting some beautiful works of art in there. And so I think it's going to be a really fun interactive experience as well. So that will be very exciting.
Super
as long as I finish learning it.
Well, it's a difficult one. And I mean, you sang at Carnegie before, right?
I did. I made my debut there. Oh my gosh. When I was making my debut at the Met, so 14, and I sang the Verdi Requiem there with the St. Cecilia Chorus and Orchestra.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, wow, it's an amazing place. It's an amazing place. And if you believe it or not, I sang at Carnegie Hall prior to that in high school. We were part of the Mid-America Productions. I don't know if you know what that is, but they take high school choruses, put them together to do masterworks at Carnegie Hall. So I was a part of one of those when I was like 18 back in the day.
Could you imagine
behind, I think it was Jennifer Larmore. No, I could never have imagined. Never. And that's why I bring it up, because the journey is so incredible. I mean, I remember standing in that chorus, and Jennifer Larmore was the soprano. I remember that. I think Sanford Sylvan was up there too, who was an incredible singer. They're going, God, people do this for a living. Oh, this is amazing, you know? I had never in my wildest dreams would I have thought I would be the one standing in front of the chorus and the orchestra singing at Carnegie Hall. So it's quite an incredible and a big honor.
Yeah,
a big
absolutely.
honor for me.
Absolutely. Well, I think
we're especially with Yannick and
yeah, of course. I think we're almost out of time. I'm just taking a look at our chat to see if anyone has any questions.
Oh, yes. Any questions?
We have one here. What is your favorite opera to sing?
Well, I mean, I know it sounds, silly, but Tosca is the best opera ever written, and it is so much fun to sing. But I will tell you, I had the most incredible time with Adriana Lecouvreur at the Met. The role is so beautifully written and so it captures the essence of who she was so well. And the production that they did, the David McVicker production that's kind of making its rounds. I think it was in Vienna. Now it's at La Scala now. It's so cool. And it really, I mean, it does so much justice to her in the history and what she did. Or I had such a special time with that role. So I mean, she's up underneath. So, but I do love Tosca. She's just the best.
Totally. I think Adriana Lecouvreur is one of my favorite operas. I was literally contemplating going to the Scala to see it. So I really, yeah, totally. It's amazing. And I think you're so lucky to get to sing these awesome Verismo roles.
So lucky. So lucky. I mean, I thank my lucky stars every day.
Okay, here's one other question. Have you used your dance skills in any opera roles? Since you don't have Salome, we'll see what you have to say about that.
I'm using my... Oh, there's so much dancing in Merry Widow. Oh my gosh. I'm using my dance skills every day right now, waltzing. And also the baritone and I, Andrew Manena, he's fantastic. We were trying to figure out kind of like a dance sequence for this small interlude in one of the duets. And I was like, okay, well, how about we this and this and this and this and la la, and then I like counted it out as if I were like choreographing it, and I was like, oh, 8 back to play at Palm Beach Opera. But yeah, definitely using it now. I'm trying to think if there was another time that I used it. I feel like there was, but now I just can't remember what it was. I also feel like if you have a dance background, you move better on stage. You know, there's a grace that you develop when you are in dance class. You know, there's a way that you stand. There's a way that you hold your posture. And I think that makes everyone move better on stage. You know, just, I mean, walking from right side of the stage to the left side of the stage, you can watch 10 people make that walk and they all walk differently, but you can always tell when somebody's had dance training because there's a grace in their movements that not everybody has. So I think that's, you know, that's always helpful. And the way you carry your body, I think is always helpful too. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do one last one. Are there any roles from a FOC other than your own that you covet?
Oh goodness, yes. So when I started singing in college, I was a coloratura. I sang Queen of the Night and Gilda and Manon and Lucia and all those things, but I never got to perform them.
Oh.
So Lucia is, it's my favorite opera to go see because I never got to sing it. I always wanted to sing Lucia. I also always wanted to sing Manon, the Massenet.
Sure.
Because, oh, what an incredible opera that is. And the music and the, you know, normally the costumes and I mean, it's so glamorous. So unfortunately, I covet those coloratura roles that I never got to do. Lucia's always on there. I love going to see Lucia because I love getting to see somebody else do it and do it really, really well and just be like, okay, that's why I'm not doing it. It's fine. Let them do it. But I mean, you know, Nadine Sierra is so spectacular. Like watch her Lucia, I'm just like, you do it. You do it, honey. It's fine. You go right ahead. Or Jessica Pratt is also spectacular. She's a Australian soprano who sings a lot actually in Europe, and her Lucia is like so good. So, I'm fine. Violette, and I did perform it, but it wasn't right because the voice gotten a little too big and like it just didn't move quite right. And it was one of those things I should have done when I was a little bit younger and like when the voice was a little bit lighter and more agile. But like, you watch Lisette do it now and you're like, it's yours. Go ahead, honey, go. It's yours. Take it. So,
And
so
I'm
the
sure, look,
color
I'm sure
Torres, yeah, I always.
I'm sure that they
No,
wish
go
that
ahead.
they could sing, a Tosca or Adriana. So I mean, I'm sure that there's the feeling must be mutual.
I mean, you never know. The voice could grow. They could do a Tosca. You never know. You never know. Mine grew, so it could happen. But you can't usually go back the other
Right.
direction. You can't usually lighten it back up. Usually
Yeah.
it opens and gets bigger instead of going the other way. So I do hope one day, and I know this sounds very funny. I also covet the big dramatic mezzo roles. So
Mhm.
like Amneris, Eboli, Princess de Bouillon, and Adriana Ver. And I kind of hope that I go the way of Shirley Verrett as I get older, because I feel like as women get a little bit older, the voice drops, right? It gets a little heavier and thicker. I hope that as I get a little bit older, I can drop into some of those dramatic end of my career and get a like one Amneris would is fabulous. It's so great. So, but those could happen. Those could happen as I get a little older. Who knows? Maybe 10 years I'll sing Amneris.
Let's hope so. That is so exciting. I would love
I
to
hope
hear
so.
that. So our audiences in
Agreed.
Palm.
I feel like it would be so fun.
Oh, totally fun. Absolutely. Our audiences in Palm Beach should come out and see you with the opera, and our audiences in
Yes.
Philly and New York should come out for your Misa Solemnis. It has been such an immense privilege and honor having you on our program and getting to know you. I'm just really grateful for your time and for sharing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so great to talk to you too. And again, thank you so much for having me. I really loved my time in Israel, and the Israel Philharmonic and with Maestro Meda will hold a very special place in my heart forever. So I'm very happy to get to share the experiences with you and everyone who's listening on Facebook, and I really, it means a lot to me. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I hope that you'll be back in Israel sometime soon.
I hope so too, because I loved everyone there. So I hope so.
Thanks so much. Okay, stay well. Take care.
Thank you. You too.